Hello, I am Coach Bev, and I am coming to you from Regal Awakening Educational Coaching Services. I coach you as you coach your child to reach their goals using the knowledge and skills that I have gained as a parent and veteran educator. Today, we are going to talk about the topic I give up on my child. As a parent, I can tell you that parenting is the most difficult job I have ever had to do. You can parent, you can give your best, you can put your all into being the best parent that you could possibly be. But your children are still going to make their own decisions, and they're still going to test the waters, and they are going to do things that you as a parent will not always agree with. It is not uncommon for us to get frustrated and feel like we just want to throw in the towel sometimes. I think that this is something that every parent has felt at some point of the 18 years of parenting their kids. Now, sometimes we get blessed with great kids that are just marvelous. They never give us any ounce of trouble, and that is the blessing. But sometimes we get those kids that will challenge us and will push us to our limits and will force us to become better people and to handle situations in better ways. It is not uncommon for me as an educator to call parents, and the parent is just done, they're over it. I give up. I've tried everything that I know how to do. I don't care what happens anymore. And I end up sitting there coaching the parent to try to help them find some positive in this situation. The principals that call home hear parents give up and say that they just can't take it anymore. They just don't want to deal with this situation anymore. Parenting is very hard. And I wouldn't be being honest with you if I say that I have never felt like throwing in the towel. I have 8 points that I would like to share with you that I think you can do when you feel as if you want to throw in the towel and give up on your child. The first point is understanding and knowing that you are human. Before anything else takes place, you are human. And if you have ever felt this emotion, you should not feel as if you are a bad person or a bad individual for having felt this way. You are human and you have feelings, you have emotions. We feel happiness, joy, and anger as well as defeat, in addition to a lot of other emotions. So the first thing that I need for us to understand is that we should not beat ourselves up because we have felt as if we have reached our limit and that there's nothing else that we want to do to try to continue to keep going in certain situations. We are human as parents, and that is an emotion that most parents are going to feel at one point or another. The second point that I would like to point out is that it's never good to try to solve issues when you are upset. When you find yourself in a situation where you are upset with your child, the best thing for you to do is to take a deep breath and step back and calm down. This will allow you the opportunity to sit down and think the situation through, and also give you the opportunity to try to come up with different methods on how you want to deal with the situation. It is never good to try to fix anything in the heat of the moment and when you are angry, although this is very easy to do. And as parents, sometimes you could just hear things and see things, and it is just your instinct to just immediately react. But if we could just learn to take a moment to step back and take a deep breath, we will find that we can sometimes get a better outcome of the situation than if we were to just go into it yelling and screaming and hollering and being upset with the child. Having a conversation is more effective than yelling with your kids. I like to call it skull training. When we just sit and we just have conversations with our kids, or we just talk to them and just get to their feelings and try to understand, why did you make the decision that you make? What were you thinking when you made that decision? Sometimes this can help you to understand the actions of the child and help you to get a better grip on what is actually taking place. Talking can also help you understand if there are other things that's influencing the child and giving your child ideas and making them think that it is okay to make the decision that they made. Having the ability to sit down and discuss the child's decisions with them could have a significant impact on them when they find themselves in these situations in the future. So let's just learn to sit down and talk to our kids and be open with them and allow them to be honest with us without consequence, so that we could try to have an understanding on what is taking place in their lives. Because sometimes the child is just going through things in school, or they're stressed and they're making decisions because of that. Experience is the best teacher. And one of the hardest things that we can do as a parent sometimes is to sit back and allow the child to learn on their own. Sometimes when you talk and talk and talk, you just have to let the child see. And sometimes that experience can have more value than you talking and trying to get the child to understand what you're saying. When they see what you mean through experience, it will give them a lot more insight, and they will build trusting them and trusting the things that you have told them as a parent. And it's hard sometimes to sit back and see your child walk into a consequence that you know that they are going to have to deal with. But we cannot control the decisions that our children decide to make sometimes. And we just have to let them see so that they can learn things for themselves. Spanking does not always work, okay? Trust me, I know. It will come a time when you just can't spank all the time. Back in the day when I was growing up, it seems as if spanking was the only way that parents knew. And I'm not saying speaking for or against spanking in any type of manner. But if spanking is one of the methods that you do use when you are dealing with your kids, I just want you to know that spanking does not work all the time. You have to find different methods and different ways in order to reach your child. There are um, different type of punishments. Taking your child's technology is one of the most severe punishments that you can enact on a child today in society. They're disconnected from their friends and the phones and their Xboxes and taking their TV remotes. These are all methods that I have tried because I have boys and I can't necessarily spank these boys all the time. And it's hard. Spanking is very hard work. It takes a lot to spank. And once they get big, that's not always the feasible method. So it is helpful to begin to find different methods in which you can handle discipline situations and situations that may occur other than putting your hands on the child. And I would also like to reiterate that if you are angry, that is definitely not the time to spank a child. You need to step back and take a deep breath And you need to know when you are too angry, because sometimes you can get too angry to spank, because you know that if you put your hands on that child, it's not going to be a good situation. So you need to also recognize when you are too angry to spank. Now, if you do spank, you need to know I probably should spank today because I'm very upset. And if I, just be aware of how you're feeling and your emotions, and know that you probably should step back from the situation for a little bit. When you enact consequences, it is important to stick to them. Now, this is difficult. When you put your children on punishment, it can sometimes feel as if you are on punishment with them. You can't go take them places because they're on punishment. You can't do fun things with them because they're on punishment. They can't look at TV, or they can't do certain activities, so you're trying to have them in an environment where they're sitting down and thinking about their consequences, and it's not always fun. But it is important to stick to the consequences that we enact with our kids, so that they will understand that consequences are long lasting, and that some consequences don't go away immediately, and you have to sit in them and deal with them. So, consequences, if the child realizes that you will not stick out your consequences, that is going to reduce your effectiveness in enacting the punishment and the child learning their lesson. The last point that I would like to make is pray for strength. Parenting requires a lot of prayer, a lot of help from your upper power, whoever it is that you serve. There are going to be some days when you can do nothing but pray. And I would advise for everybody to pray for strength when parenting. Parenting is a great thing, it is a blessing. To be blessed with children and to have the ability to raise productive and great people that's bearing the fruit that you put in them. They have your characteristics. They look like you. They talk like you. They act like you. There are many versions of you. But that does not mean that parenting is easy. I would like to go back to the fact that I stated earlier. Always remember that you are human, and no one is expecting for you to have all of the answers and be the perfect parent. When we are praying and seeking, we will find the strength that we need to hold on when we feel as if we want to give up. Find a method that is going to help you in tough times with your child. Journaling is a great way to express your feelings. And if you need to go to therapy to talk about it, if you need to take the child to therapy to talk about major issues that you are having, feel free to do that. Do whatever you need to do to make a difference in the life of your child and to ensure that they are going to be productive citizens. We can be certain that if we give up on our kids, that the probability of them not achieving the goals and being productive will not go as planned. I am Coach Bev from Regal Awakening Educational Coaching Services. You can find me on Instagram at Regal Awakening, Facebook at Regal Awakening. I also have a website, www.regalawakening.com. You can book a coaching session with me there if you would like as well. You're watching the video, so you know where to find me on YouTube. If you like the content of this video, hit like. And then if you would like to subscribe to the channel, feel free to do that. If you subscribe to the channel, you can hit the notification bell so that you can be notified every time I put up a video. Thank you for your time. I'm Coach Bev.